The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Peace be unto you. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. Welcome to Liberated Sisters. Today we're speaking with Sister Ebony Safia Muhammad of the Hurt to Healing magazine. She is the publisher. She is also a member of the Farrakhan Twitter army. Sister Ebony is going to speak to us about the Covered Girls chat taking place tonight. We're going to ask her some questions about just what that is and what will they be doing. And after that, we're going to hear a clip of Minister Farrakhan's press conference in Tehran. He has returned, thank Allah, safely, he and his delegation. We're very happy for your return, Minister Farrakhan. We are also going to speak to Student Minister Dimitrik Muhammad of the Nation of Islam Research Group. Brother Dimitrik is also a student minister at Muhammad Mosque number 55 in Memphis. And what we're doing right here in Liberated Sisters, well, you should be aware. We're defending Farrakhan. We don't stop. And so let's get into the Justice Report. And in today's Justice Report, we're going to be coming out of the Final Call newspaper. But before we do that, we're going to bring in Sister Ebony Safia Muhammad out of Houston, Texas. She is a very, very sincere and dedicated supporter, follower of Minister Farrakhan. Sister Ebony, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you doing, Sister Charlene?
Oh, my God, I'm doing so good. It's good to hear you, Sister Ebony. Thank you for coming on. Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, we got to catch up. Got to catch up some more. Just hearing your voice. But Sister Ebony, tonight you are you're spearheading a Covered Girl chat on Twitter. First of all, what is Covered Girl and why the Twitter chat tonight?
Yes, ma'am. So I am moderating the Covered Girl Twitter chat this evening. That's going to be encompassing the MGT and GCC, Muslim Girls in Training and General Civilization, women of the Nation of Islam, along with other women who support the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and follow him from afar. The Covered Girl Twitter chat started, or the Covered Girl hashtag started, a couple of years ago when many of us were posting photos of ourselves covered, draped beautifully, unashamed of our covering, unashamed of how beautiful we are, not having to expose ourselves as this world would like for us to do. So it was just a way for us to put ourselves out there in a way that's pleasing. And so the first Twitter chat started in defense of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he was speaking directly to Jay-Z in regards to Beyonce covering herself beautifully. And this was during, I believe it was a Savior's Day event, and the Bayhive got stirred up, and started to slander the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, saying a lot of untrue things about him and saying that he's oppressive and that Islam is oppressing women. And so we initiated a discussion. We wanted to speak with those women, those who are self-proclaimed feminists, who state that they are for the rights of women. And we organized ourselves to speak with them directly. Look, let's talk about this and let's clear some things up because what you're saying is not true. And so it began for that event, and it just kind of snowballed thereafter. Anytime someone is attacking our minister, the sisters are going to rise up and that's what we're doing this evening.
Please believe. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for letting us know the origin of the Covered Girl and the Twitter chat. And so specifically, we're going to be addressing some of the Women's March tweets and comments about Minister Farrakhan, right? Can you elaborate on that, and also anything else that we'll be dealing with tonight?
Right. So the Women's March Twitter account released a statement, and it said that, I don't know if anyone has, I don't know if you've read it or not, but
I have.
In short, oh, okay.
Go read it. Go read it.
You said don't? Okay.
I know I said go. I'm telling the viewers, go read it, but you can sum it up.
Right. So the Women's March Twitter account released a statement on behalf of the leadership stating that they condemn anti-Semitism and they do not stand for the statements made by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about women and Jewish people and the LGBTQ communities, and saying that, you know, he poses a danger with his hate rhetoric. You know, so very untrue statements, very baseless. And so we're going to be addressing those line for line. Along with that, Alyssa Milano, actress, said that she's not going to speak at the Women's March unless the organizers of the Women's March condemn the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And she, of course, is riding in on the anti-Semite bandwagon that the media is putting out there. Of course, again, those are lies. And along with her, actress Deborah Messing is pretty much sounding off with Alyssa Milano, saying that she stands with her and that she is uncomfortable, you know, with the connection of the Women's March leaders, you know, if they don't stand up and speak out against anti-Semitism, specifically with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Again, creating a stir of deception and lies against the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who has done nothing but stand up in defense of women and women's rights. So we're going to be addressing those three elements and what they've been putting out before the world untrue, and we're going to clear it up. We're going to clear up the air. Yeah, we're going to further get this Febreze, get this Lysol, whatever we use to spray this air, we're going to purify. Because one thing I thought about, and thank you for that, Sister Ebony, one thing I thought about as we make a transition in a few minutes to Brother Demetric is, actually to Minister Farrakhan, we're going to hear an exchange between a reporter in Tehran that, we're clearing the air on that as well. Minister Farrakhan's entire press conference. You can view the entire press conference at NOI.org, and also you can go to the minister's page and finalcall.com. And I'm using just that exchange, but I want you in the listening audience to look at the entire press conference for yourself. Read the Final Call coverage. Brother Richard, our editor, was there in Tehran. The coverage is in the Final Call. The truth of what happened is there. And the reason I'm playing this is because many people, Sister Ebony, have not heard the tail end of that. They only heard and saw what was on Press TV, but when the minister began to check this reporter, then Press TV stripped that, which was a very, telling thing. And it also, in my spirit, let me know, in my own opinion, that what the minister said was correct. You know, you're paid by Press TV to do this, because otherwise, I think to have let that exchange continue would have been the right thing to do. But that's okay. We have it, and we're going to put it out. And so, Sister Ebony, I wanted to say, as I asked you to close out, what the vein I was going on is this. The audacity of those who are leeches of the original people. You see, let's not forget, we have the Million Women's March by our great Sister Filet. And they tried to co-opt that and snatch that. And she checked them on that and many others, and they couldn't do it. So then it became the Women's March, and they still were not moving. But then Sister Tamika, our Sister Carmen Perez, Sister Linda Sarsour, and, Sister Tamika Mallory, they came on board, and the Women's March became a success. And now you want to say you won't come, you who couldn't draw a fly?
to manure won't come because our sisters will not deny. Because I'm serious. There were many people engaged in that march, but it got what it needed when the sisters came on board. So you're saying they can't, you won't go speak, but they don't need you. It is you who need them. And Sister Charlene thinks about that and wants you to know that you need them. So when I saw that she wasn't going to speak, I was like, oh, okay, that'll be good. But, we uphold this civilization that is pushing us down. But as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, it's on our pinky finger. They exist because we think about them. As Minister Ava says, we hold them up. Let them go. Drop them. Drop them. So I just wanted to put that there because that is something I've been thinking about. Like, that's a bold audacity. But I guess, some people won't be speaking anywhere because we have other things to tend to with these fires and these disasters. Maybe you won't be speaking at all right about now. So, Sister Ebony, before I go too far into the zone, you see I got this red on for a reason. Close out with what you would desire for the Women's March. But we say, you leave Farrakhan alone if it would be wise for those who think a certain way and who are planning a certain way. I heard Dr. Ava Muhammad, his national spokesperson, say from him that, see, when we see the weather moving the way it's moving and the minister tells us, watch the weather, that's the justice. It's nobody in the nation or anyone else that can bring justice or do harm to people. We can't even fathom how to repay Satan and his imps for what they are doing, not only to the minister, but to our people, to the indigenous people. So just watch the weather. Keep watching the weather. It's 30, 40 degrees where you are, right, Ebony?
Yes, ma'am.
And please, that's Houston, Texas. Okay, Sister Ebony, go ahead. Give me your last remark right here until tonight. We're going to get on this Twitter chat. We're going to deal with this in a righteous way.
Oh, absolutely. Highly civilized and intelligent.
Yes, yes.
One of the things that comes to mind, Sister Charlene, is in 2013, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was on the Rock Newman show, and he called out for a public showdown for those who are critics of his in regards to what he said about the satanic Jews. And none of them have stepped forward. So when you have a Twitter account with the Women's March, and I'm making a very clear distinction between the Twitter account and the sisters who are leaders within the Women's March. They're sitting behind a computer. They're sitting behind a profile, and we're going to invite them to come and engage with this Twitter chat this evening, but they're hiding. And see, and that's the thing that we have to call out, like the minister said, is calling out Shaitan. So this is what we're doing this evening. Let's call them out. You can come out and engage with us intelligently, and we'll talk about this. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has already put it out for the enemy to come on out and meet him publicly. So right now what we're doing this evening is he has his opposition, and we're standing up in his defense. This is our gratitude for what he's done for us for 60 plus years. This is the least we can do. And so tonight at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, using the hashtag #CoveredGirl, we are going to open up the floor for discussion. There will be questions put on the floor to be answered and to be discussed. Let's go ahead and put it all out on the table, and let's deal with it.
Let's have this dialogue.
That's what we're doing this evening.
Let's have this dialogue.
Yes,
I mean, it's throwing rocks and name calling. You see, when you don't have anything intelligent to say and you don't have a reply, as I've heard Minister Farrakhan, he put it very plain one day, then you come out swinging like that as the last resort.
Windmilling. Right, windmilling. You're not hitting nothing. No target at all. You just windmilling. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're
scratch your eyes.
Nothing.
Yeah, come on. I mean, it's like stand up on truth if you believe what you believe. But this is what can rouse the emotions of the people. But one thing I would like to say, Sister Ebony, thank you. This is not the first, and I'm sure it won't be the last Twitter chat that you host for Covered Girl. So thank you very much. Thank you to all the sisters in the Twitter army who are going to be out on that tonight. And thank you to the backbone. Thank you, FOI, Because the FOI coming, if you think you're going to be coming out with slander and name calling and really attacking sisters with this vicious, vile language that you normally do, trust and believe the FOI are going to be holding it down for the Twitter chat. They secure us daily. They're going to be right there on social media. I like that. And also, I would like to say this. I was thinking about something, and I just was praising Allah. And we're coming to you, Brother Student Minister Dimitri. Thanks for holding on, everybody. We're coming. Stay right there. We're coming right up with the minister's exchange with this reporter, which really, if y'all felt earthquakes anywhere, that might have been not just me, but many people restraining ourselves like, oh, my God, Lord. Oh, Lord. But I wanted to say that when we hear people, like I thought about it myself, and I said, Lord, this man has saved my life. You know, and people can hear that so often that it can become like a cliche or sound really mundane, but he saved our physical, spiritual, and mental lives. And so I said, you know, I think what people really should understand is he saved your life. Any of those of you who don't agree, don't like, you have that right. We understand that. But leave him be to do his work, to save those who want to be saved. You don't want to go? Fine. That's your choice. But don't hinder people from Allah's way by hindering them from this man. I'm saying within and without the nation. Because really, he saved your life because many of us are crazy. We're crazy. We're fanatics. We're just, you scratch the surface, it's going to come out. So protect yourself and leave this man alone. Because the God of justice and his angels are moving. Look at the weather. Watch the weather. You have whole towns gone recently by fires. Before the hurricane season, we saw that happen. Do right by Farrakhan. Just leave him alone. So, Sister Ebony, we're going to make a way right now. I want people to hear him. I'm a little off schedule.
Yes, ma'am.
I want them to hear Brother Dimitri. But thank you, Sister, for coming on. Thank you for Hurt to Healing.
Thank you.
What's your Hurt to Healing website?
It's hurt2healingmag.com. So that's hurt2healingmag.com.
Thank you so much. That's a very beautiful, beautiful magazine. Thank you, Sister Ebony. And may Allah continue to bless you and let us have success. And let me just remind everyone while you're right here, the best manner. We're going to dialogue in the best manner tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay?
With facts.
With facts. That's right.
With facts.
Thank you so much. See you on the chat.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, y'all, look, this Liberated Sisters. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. We're going to be coming in with Brother Dimitri in about maybe 5 minutes. But right now, let's view the short exchange between Minister Farrakhan and the Press TV reporter and pay attention to the complete end. The end is what many of you don't have, so we're bringing it to you.
Hello, sir. I think it's not working, is it?
I hear you very well, sir.
Thank you very much. I've got a loud voice. So I'm Press TV correspondent Yusuf Jalali. Death to the United States is not a slogan chanted by the Iranian government against the U.S. government or the U.S. people, but it's a slogan chanted by the Iranian people against the American leaders.
I know.
So, and it's not, its roots are not just about the 1979 Islamic Revolution, but it's way back before it. If you turn the pages of history back to 1953, and you clearly mentioned it when the United States reinstated monarchy in Iran, so it's clear that the Iranian people have had a very dark memory about what the United States did back then. So death to the United States is not a slogan chanted by the government. So the United States, if it wants to reimpose sanctions, it's reimposing sanctions against the Iranian people, not
That's
the Iranian
correct.
government. So the Western media outlets, especially the United States media outlets, are accusing you these days of leading death to the United States. I just read a couple of news items about you and how the Western media is accusing you of chanting the death to the United States. I want to ask you this question. Would you are you willing to chant the slogan of death to the United States? Because you are a person who is living in the United States, and you are a person who is exposed to some of the policies that are done and conducted against you, carried out against you in the United States. The black community is in the United States is humiliated, and you are a black person, and at the same time you're a Muslim. And as you see, Muslims these days are exposed to some of the wrong policies committed by the United States. So would you chant this slogan of
No, I will not do that. I will not do that. I would ask, who sent you to ask that question?
That's right.
I see you seem to be one of those who are paid at Press TV to provoke that. That's not my chant. Listen to me. No, listen to me. You asked me a question. Your question is, I heard you. I heard you. But I also heard something else about you that I don't like. You want me to chant because they lied on me and said I led a chant. I know that chant came from the people of Iran. And this sanction is what's hurting the people of Iran. They have a right to chant it. But I am not a chanter. I am a worker for God. And the truth will undo falsehood, and the righteous will win against the wicked. Not with a chant, but with actual words and deeds. I don't like your attitude, man. I don't like that. You know, I have to say this. I'm not just listening to your questions. God is showing me your motives. And I'm addressing with anger your motive. I know the question. I don't like it. Now, I'll take one or two more questions, but if you have not heard me yet, then I'm wasting my time. Is there another question?
Yeah, so a lot of people saw the beginning, and Press TV kind of faded out when the minister, right when he started addressing that, and that's the full clip of that exchange. But the press conference is a little over an hour long. It's good if you watch it. You have it. There's so much false media that has been put out. But not only that, Minister Farrakhan gave intense, extreme, severe, heightened guidance and warning to Tehran, Iran, America, the world, to everyone. It's really critical to watch and parse and study that press conference. He's really talking about these sanctions, and it's a lot in it. And so it's not just that part, but that part I know many people had hanging in the balance. I've talked to people, they don't really know what else happened. So I wanted to bring that. Let's go to Brother Demetric Muhammad. Brother Demetric? Brother Demetric, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for your patience and waiting while I got all that out. I kind of know I commented a little more than I had expected and wanted to when I was speaking with Sister Ebony, but when I thought about the women around Jesus, and without a doubt, Minister Farrakhan is my Jesus, I just wanted to give my opinion about some of what's happening with him with in terms of women. But Brother Demetric, thank you. Student Minister Demetric of Muhammad Muslim of 55. We also call him, as he is, the research minister with the Nation of Islam Research Group. Minister Demetric, your thoughts about that press conference and just that exchange that we saw. And I'll ask you some more questions about what we see happening and how the research group is really going in and not just defending Farrakhan, but you really have Satan on the run. If people would go to that website, what is it, noirg.com?
It's noirg.org.
.org. Please, everyone visit that. And you see just how these brothers are taking this on. But Brother Dimitri, the initial question, what did you think about that exchange and really that press conference in Tehran?
Well, it was a very powerful exchange, a very powerful press conference, and we, as a community, the black community in America, should be very grateful and thankful that in such a critical hour we have leadership that has international respect and recognition that can form important and significant relationships with the nations of the earth. And it signifies that we are no longer a slave on a plantation where we have no allies, where we have no friends, except those that our slave masters and their children have approved for us. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's ability to pick up at his pleasure and leave America to visit with the nations of the earth is very, very significant, and it gives to us as a people a portrait of what it actually looks like to be free. The minister has never wavered from embracing Muslim leaders, Muslim peoples. The minister has never shied away from embracing African leaders, African peoples. People of color all over the world know the name Louis Farrakhan, and he is respected and admired for being someone who, as he said just a couple of days ago in a magnificent tweet, not left, not right, not center, but for the truth. And so this is the reputation of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
And we saw in that exchange apparently a member of the journalist pool who wanted to envelop the minister in further controversy surrounding the chant "Death to America," which the minister has never said. He's never led a chant. He's never articulated such. But the minister believes that his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was raised by Allah to teach black people in America the knowledge of God and the knowledge of self, to reform us morally and spiritually, to unite us, and to prepare us for our divine destiny. But he also believes that his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is, as all prophets and messengers of God, is a warner to the nations of the earth and their leaders, that if they proceed or they continue to proceed down a course or path of oppression, suppression, tyranny, unjust policy, that they will incur the wrath of God. And so the minister sees that he also shares with his teacher in that role and that assignment. So he's not only a bold black man, he's not only a powerful brother, but he also is a warner to the rulers of the nations of the earth. So it was a magnificent press conference, and I, like you, encourage all of your listeners to listen to it in its entirety.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Now, see, when some people wonder why we do this, it's I would say twofold, but it's multifaceted, right? When I say this, it's like, go back at those who come at the minister. It's not just the hindering of people from the truth that he has, right? That will help them in their individual personal lives, help those, whatever they're struggling with. And we bear witness of what that meant for us in our lives. But it's also to really have them killed. If we just stop and think a minute. You think the people who hear lies told on him about death to America, death to Israel, they love their countries. What do you think that's sowing in the minds of nuts? Right? So I won't say nuts. I don't think that's a proper thing to say. I said that it's like those who would want to do harm to the minister. Like you have this cop in Akron who is accused of and making a very vicious online threat against the minister. He was suspended with pay. Can you address that, Brother Dimitri? And this cop's name is, I'm going to put his name here, James Anthony. 23-year veteran of the Akron Police Department. According to numerous reports, this is in the Final Call newspaper. The mayor, Dan Harrigan, suspended the officer with pay. So the believers in Akron paying for the cop who's calling for the death of their minister. You see how sinister this is? Go ahead, Brother Dimitri.
Yes, that's just foolish. The minister has a long history and a long record of going around the country. And in this city, Memphis, Tennessee, the last time Minister Farrakhan was here, before he could leave the city, the police department, the officers who were part of his security detail, they said, Minister, we have to ask you before you leave, would you pray for us? And so there's a photo that was taken by Brother Jesse Muhammad of Minister Farrakhan and his personal security detail, along with the police officers who were assigned to the minister's security detail while he was in this city, hand in hand, arm in arm, in a moment of prayer. So that officer is not a representative, nor is he indicative of the sentiment on police departments around the country for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Nation of Islam has long been viewed by law enforcement agencies as a crime-deterring presence in poor and impoverished communities all over America. So this was an idiot mouthing off behind a keyboard on social media. But to your point, there is a campaign to marginalize and ostracize the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so that some idiot like that might become inspired and motivated to take his life. But the magnificent thing about who Minister Farrakhan is and who we are as a people is that he is not forsaken of God. We are not forsaken of God. He is a man raised by God, anointed by God, and protected by God. And so if America would like to see an increase in the arsenal of God come against America, then it can proceed forth with trying to harm the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You won't be able to harm a hair on his head without receiving a response from God. I, as a person who would never delight in the misery or suffering of any other human being, but I did find it intriguing, as many people found it intriguing, that just a couple of days after condemning Minister Farrakhan as an anti-Semite, there were certain people who had to evacuate their homes because of fires out there where you all are on the West Coast.
Yes.
And it reminds me of something that was in the Discovery Channel or maybe National Geographic a couple of years ago, Sister Charlene. There was a report stating that America, of all of the nations of the earth, has the worst and the most violent weather patterns of every nation on the earth. And the article documented how every possible natural disaster and phenomenon is present in America. And it gave me pause to think, wow, that's true, because there are certain countries that they don't experience tornadoes. There's some that don't experience blizzards. There's some that don't experience earthquakes. But in America, all of the various natural disasters are present. And the Bible says that God had treasured up snow in the North Country in preparation for his day of battle. And so God fights with the forces of nature, and there is no nuclear power. There is no military power that can stand against the arsenal and the weaponry of God that we maintain is on the side of black people in America, and is the protection for the leader of black people in America, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But we certainly see the plan. We certainly see the conspiracy. And by Allah's grace, we will continue to fight with the truth. We are motivated more than ever to fight harder with the truth, because we know and we understand that this is not the day or the time for Satan.
That's right.
This is the day and the time of God.
Yeah.
Satan's time, we were taught in our teaching, Sister Charlene, of course, as you know, ended in 1914. In his world, the world of American supremacy, the European hegemony, the predominance of Caucasian people throughout the earth has been on a steady decline since 1914. And in 1914, it was signaled by the Great World War. And ever since that time, their world has been on a steady decline. So this is the day of God. This is, as it were, the beginning of the acceptable year of the Lord. And so we understand that righteousness will prevail in this day. Truth will prevail in this day, even though it looks dark, because the opponents and the enemies of truth and righteousness, they are formidable.
Yes.
They appear to be strong and mightier than ever. But there's something about the way of God that he allows the wicked to ascend to the highest heights of influence and power, where they feel so secure in their evil. And this is just on the eve of his wiping them out completely. So for those in the Jewish leadership, for those in the American government, even for those who may be the common man or woman who thinks that they want to do harm to Minister Farrakhan and his followers, we warn you in the name of Allah that you will not be successful, and you will incur God's wrath upon you in such an hour as this. If you don't like Minister Farrakhan and his message, just leave him alone. Allow him to come to that which his works will earn for him. But don't you be stupid and foolish and interfere with the work of a divine man, because you will find yourself at odds with God. And as I was taught as a young boy, I don't know of anybody whose arms aren't short to box with God.
That's right, Brother Dimitri. Thank you. See, so eloquently put. See, that's why I have you, Sister Ebony, all of the others that can, put it so nicely, because I get that. But I think it's a good time now, as you talked about the weather, and you're right, the weather patterns, we see it's 30, 40 degrees. Brother Jesse Muhammad, Sister Ebony told me in Houston, we have here, LA, Cali, we have these earthquakes, but we also have these fires, and they touch off at the same time, southern, in the east, and then also in the west, and also in Northern California. But I do want to say that the death toll for this campfire now, there's the so-called campfire that's in Sacramento, and there's the Woozy fire here in Los Angeles. But right now I'm seeing that 44 people are confirmed dead in the fires that broke out last Thursday. That's the campfire. I think we just got through fires here. And so let's hear a song from Minister Farrakhan's Let's Change the World. This is called I'll Fight Ya.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll
fight for my brothers. We can go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone, standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you let it be his own, split you like you need alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since '03, and we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love the bottom, Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, and now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive-by. Oh, why must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on. I fight like that, 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, then you know never to settle. I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. This on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strict in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the one that's
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Just having fun. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's Let's Change the World album is out now. Get yours. Get it, get it, get it. Get it. Brother Dimitri, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I like that. I think that's my favorite one. So anyway, back to the matter at hand. I wanted to play That's Our Feature Song for today because that's essentially what we see waging right now. We see that playing out. That's what you just spoke about. It's the weather. It's the weather. It's the weather. It's the weather. Watch the weather. Brother Dimitri, so talk about the rapid fire, or is it my perception? But I think it's like these attacks are rapid fire, right? Before we come out of one, then boom, here's another one, right? So the last thing we had was anti-termite. Now we, the response by the termites to that. Then we have what's happening now. What happened, if anything, in between that maybe Sister Charlene might have missed that we need to jump on?
Well, we are in an hour where, the scripture puts it like this, and forgive me, but, I'm a student of scripture.
Yes.
And so
go ahead.
I'm trained to look at the world, and as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would say, to have one ear on what's being said, but the other ear on scripture.
Yes, thank you for that.
We are looking at what I see as when the Bible speaks in the book of Revelations of a dragon pursuing a woman who is pregnant, about to deliver a man-child who would rule the nations of the earth with a rod of iron.
Yeah.
And that dragon was pursuing that woman, and this was the same dragon that had deceived the whole world.
Yeah.
So scholars have long since equivocated back and forth over the meaning of this. But the best exegesis I've ever seen is that of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, that speak of how the dragon is really the forces of evil and Satan, who are manipulating public opinion with respect to the messenger of God, who, because of his deep maternal type love because of his long suffering and because of his nurturing of the people, is styled symbolically as a woman. And so the propagandists are revving up, and they're working overtime to, again, ostracize, marginalize the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so that from a place of isolation, they can carry out extermination. And so this is the season that we are in. But again, the opponents of truth, who are the enemies of God, they won't win. Yes, they have reacted negatively to the Minister's Holy Day of Atonement message, where the minister used a common political metaphor, termites. We showed in a YouTube video that is on our YouTube channel that there is a historical use of the termite metaphor.
Yes.
It was used by the son of President Reagan, Michael Reagan, to refer to the Democratic Party. It was used by one of the critics of the Muslim world, Ayan Hirsi Ali, to condemn the spread of Islam in America and Europe. It was also used by popular author David K. Johnston to refer to the Trump administration. Even Van Jones used it to refer to the Trump administration as being political termites. Yet there is always a double standard, and the words of the minister, even when he says things that are critical of the government or critical of the Jewish community, that maybe even Jews have said of themselves, that maybe even the government has said of itself, is always the fans of controversy, the flames of controversy, pardon me, are fanned because they really want to cause the minister to be silent. And since they cannot silence him, they cannot buy him, they cannot make him compromise, then they have determined, as they determined of Jesus in Scripture, Sister Charlene, they have determined to take his life. So I was especially taken aback, as you mentioned, other examples of propaganda, is that there's even right now voices in the Jewish community who are saying that the words of Minister Farrakhan are worth, now hear me well, they are saying that the words of Minister Farrakhan are worse than the mass shooter at the Pittsburgh synagogue.
Wow.
This was recently written in the Wall Street Journal. And so we see the deep, intense hatred for the minister, who in all of his many years of preaching and teaching has never inspired, never instructed, never directed, never encouraged anybody who came to listen to him to commit one act of violence. Fact about it, the impact and the message of Minister Farrakhan is so overwhelmingly positive that when nearly 2 million black men came to hear him on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., they didn't even leave a piece of paper on the ground. They didn't even leave a trash bag anywhere to be found. And one rabbi, Rabbi Bruce Kahn, famously said, he said, "I'm white and I'm a rabbi and I attended the Million Man March, and I was privileged to be there in a sea of principled, dignified men to hear from Minister Farrakhan." It's a very significant testimony coming from a white rabbi, because if the minister is the anti-Semite they want us to believe, then surely there at the Million Man March, when he had the largest audience that he had ever had to preach to, surely if he was an anti-Semite, it would have been there that he would have put his anti-Semitism on full display, seeking to inspire hatred of Jews in the hearts of the nearly 2 million men who were there. But on the contrary, Sister Charlene, the USA Today reported that in the immediate aftermath of the Million Man March, those nearly 2 million brothers, and many brothers who were not there, but millions more who watched on television, they went and they adopted children.
Yes.
They went and they registered to vote. They went and they rejoined the church. Some went and they rejoined the masjid. Many of them who hadn't been paying child support for their children went and started paying child support. We heard nothing of any acts of violence or hatred or vandalism committed against any of those that the minister said have historically been party to our destruction as a people. And this is because, and I have to say that, you know, where hatred is concerned, what America did to black people naturally generates hatred inside of us. How could you not hate the rape of our mothers? How could you not hate the castration of our fathers?
Come on.
How could you not hate the lynching of our sons?
Right.
How could you not hate having our names, language, and culture, God, religion, folkways, mores, norms taken from us? How could you not hate the Tuskegee experiment? How could you not hate the things that were done to us? No. America owes a debt of gratitude to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because they have examined the hatred that is within us and said to us, as the scripture says, vengeance belongs to God. They have channeled our natural negative emotions toward white supremacy and black inferiority, toward the constructive path of unity, organization, moral reform. They have placed before us the ideal that we could have and form our own nation and build our own society. I would argue that were it not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, you in the Nation of Islam, you would have that hatred that resides within the breasts of black people unchecked. You would have it spilling over into white neighborhoods and communities if it were not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, in the nation to say, no, black man, no, black woman, you don't need to carry weapons. Don't even carry so much as a penknife.
Right.
You don't need to do no violence to the children of your slave masters, because if they don't repent of the evil done to us, what God has in store for them is far worse than anything you could do with a little small gun that you have access to. Just separate. Develop and learn the knowledge of yourself, and allow that knowledge of self to inspire love for self. And then begin to pool your resources. Begin to divest yourself of addictions to narcotics, alcohol, any immoral vice that would rob you of God's Spirit finding a firm resting place within you. Get it out of your life. And let's come together, organize, and do what other self-respecting peoples do for themselves, and build our own independent reality right here in the house where our forefathers and foremothers were sold as slaves. This is what Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have been able to do with the hate that white hatred of black people naturally produced in our breast. So this government owes the Nation of Islam a debt of gratitude for creating, as it were, a constructive outlet for that which is dormant within our breast for what has been done to our people.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Demetric, you said it so well. I don't think you were able to hear, but we're just so in tune on this. You know, before you came on, I told Sister Ebony, you know, the minister, when we say he saved our lives, he saved yours too. And you just detailed it. You outlined it so beautifully. So thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I want to just make a quick comment and then have you close out. Minister, I think we'll have like 2 minutes. Minister Farrakhan explained what he was doing in Tehran. He explained to members of the press there, and this is in Brother Richard's article, that the sanctions reimposed on Iran by the U.S. are unjust and they're hurting the Iranian people. And he advised Iran and Saudi Arabia to mediate their problems with one another. Otherwise, Minister Farrakhan said, the door will be open for U.S. intervention and war. And see, that's what, just constantly peacemaking. Islam is religion of peace, but there is a fighting side to that. And we don't call for God's judgment, because it's, as we see now, like whole cities evacuating, it's really traumatic. And we have a friend to the nation, like Brother Dale Bigtree, a producer who he co-produced Vaxxed, the DVD that Minister Tony has been touring the country recently on, alerting people to, and you can add this to the list that you spoke about, the vaccinations and just how purposely our black boys and our people are being biologically, chemically wiped out through these vaccinations, and how the high levels, over 250%, impacts black boys, contracting autism. And it's known. So see, I just wanted to mention Brother Dale Victory. We have those who, we're seeing suffering, and also Sister Angie and Brother Marcus and their family. They were a little bit impacted in terms of the fire being close to their property, but they're safe. And so I just wanted to mention that, Brother Dimitri. Thank you. Could you close out with your last comment in about 30 seconds or a minute?
Yes. I would like to encourage all of the listeners to tune in to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan this Sunday from our headquarters mosque in Chicago, Illinois.
Yes.
Mosque Mariam.
Yes.
As he will address the American public and address the world with respect to recent controversies surrounding his trip to Iran, and what the leaders of America need to do in the immediate aftermath of the midterm elections, and what black people need to do in the present climate. So that will be, you'll be able to see that live stream at www.noi.org. That's www.noi.org. Sister Charlene, thank you once again for the privilege and the opportunity of speaking with you and your listeners. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, Mel. I continue to bless you, Brother Dimitri, and your family. And that's a wrap for our show. I do want to put some announcements out real quickly. Thank you all for viewing online. I really appreciate your support. I didn't get to give Brother Dimitri the comments, but thank you so much. He can see them there on the page. But again, he announced it. Minister Farrakhan, I want to reiterate that, is speaking from Mosque Mariam this Sunday. Be my guest. Be my guest, be my guest at Muhammad Mosque number 27, where we will view it here. That's 8701 South Vermont at Manchester. Come and join us here, Liberated Sisters, this Friday at 8 a.m. on Radio Justice, and on next Saturday at KPFK. That's radiojustice.org and kpfk.org or 90.7 FM. I do want to say thank you so much, Sister Ebony Safia Muhammad, Brother Dimitri Muhammad, and Sister Felicia Morris, the poetess, owner, engineer, everything around here. Thank you for this space and for your vision. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad saying, if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace.